welcome back. As we promised in our intro, we are going to cover the visit of the Jordanian monarch, King Abdullah II, as he was received yesterday by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and they held some talks tackling a number of issues of mutual concern, particularly the latest developments in the Middle East, the latest developments in Gaza, the latest developments in Syria, and they both expressed their renewed their stance regarding both cases, regarding the necessity of having a comprehensive immediate ceasefire in Gaza, and to support the national institutions of Syria and supporting the Syrian people to decide for their future. To shed more light on the issue, we are very much delighted to have with us by phone His Excellency Ambassador Ayoub, Mahmoud Ayoub, former Minister Commercial.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. So talking about what's happening in Syria right now, and going back to the escalations that are happening in the region, in the Arab region, specifically in Gaza and in Lebanon, and the latest in Syria, how important is this visit in this critical time?
This visit is a very important one, and the consultation between the two heads of states, Egypt and Jordan, is very important for the peace in the Middle East, and also to face the ramifications of what is happening now in Syria and also in Gaza. Consultation between the two heads of states is very important to have a common stand how to tackle these issues and how to face it and how to see the ramifications for the Middle East and for their own countries, Egypt and Jordan, because it is very important to have a common Arab stand in this respect, and no one is concerned with the situation more than Egypt and Jordan, because it is there are many Syrians in Egypt, and there are borders between Syria and Jordan. So what is happening especially in Syria has its repercussions on the situation also in the neighboring countries, whether Lebanon or Jordan or other countries, and they need to consult every now and then, which is quite important for both countries and also for the peace process and the stability in the Middle East.
Right, you are, sir. And let me echo what you have just said. The summit talks which took place yesterday between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and visiting Jordanian King Abdullah came just 2 days after the important meeting which took place in Al-Aqaba in the Jordanian city on the ministerial level, in which our top diplomat Badr Abdel Ati participated in, along with the foreign ministers of a number of Arab and even foreign countries, particularly to tackle the latest developments in the Middle East. And of the most important statements which were renewed or repeated during the two meetings is the complete rejection of liquidating the Palestinian cause, and number two, to stop all the procedures taken on the ground to turn Syria into a hub for terrorism. No, to help or to support the national institutions of Syria to lead Syria to a better future. How do you see this, sir?
I see that these consultations and negotiations and the discussions with the two heads of states is very important. It has, because when the other countries and the other forces in the Middle East see that Egypt and Jordan are having a common stand and a common front to face what is happening in Gaza, what is happening in Syria, they reconsider what they are doing. That is very important for the peace process in the Middle East and also for stability in Jordan, especially in Jordan. And we have faced many terrorist attacks, many terrorist activities in Gaza and in Sinai, and so we need to consult and to face and also to tackle the issues, the thorny issues of what is happening in Gaza, and because what is happening in Gaza is quite important for Egypt and also for Palestinians themselves, who are keen to find a common stand between Egypt and Jordan in this respect. And that is why the Jordanian monarch has been several times, whenever there are important developments, he comes to Egypt, or President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, they sit together and consult what to do and how to tackle the problems. And problems are thorny ones which need consultations, continued consultations and contacts between the two heads of states. That is why the visit is very important for both Egypt and for Jordan, and also for the Palestinians who are taking care of their own rights in their own land, and we need to face the aggression together.
Okay, so actually the two leaders also stressed on the establishment of an independent Palestinian state on the lines of 4th of June 1967, with of course, East Jerusalem being its capital. They said that this is the only guarantee for achieving peace and stability in the Middle East. So what's your comment on that?
What happened after the war between Israel and Palestinians and the neighboring countries is that the Arabs, mainly I can say the Egypt and Jordan and other Arab countries, have to have a common front, because this is the only way to face aggression. We cannot face aggression as individual states, but as a common front between all the Arab countries, because there are ramifications for the other countries. But by the way, it is not only confined to Egypt and Jordan and also Syria, but also to Saudi Arabia and Lebanon, and what we have seen in Lebanon, because it is Israeli aggression in all fronts, and it should be faced by all fronts, that all the Arab countries who are neighboring this aggressor, and we need to have a common front, not only in facing it, but also what to do together to face the situation and stop ramifications on our own countries.
Sir, both Egypt and Jordan hailed the ceasefire in Lebanon and stressed the importance of implementing the UN resolution number 1701. Also, they called on the active international partners to shoulder their responsibility to put an end to the conflicts in the Middle East, as this is dragging the region to a devastating war, and it's not going to have its very negative repercussions on the Middle East states, but on the world security and stability. How do you see this call, sir?
This call by the two countries is very important, because what is happening in Lebanon, Syria, or in Gaza has its direct effect on stability and peace in our countries. So the two heads of states, when they are sitting together to see what can be done, so they are discussing action which needs to be made by the two countries, and also I think they are also discussing how the international powers, the United States, Europe, and other countries should face this situation, because it is not only Egypt and Jordan who are facing this situation, but also the international community and the other powers who have a stake in the Middle East, have a stake in this process, and that is why Egypt and Jordan are facing it together, and they need to have a common stand to face the aggression and to stop the aggression on their own countries and on the Palestinians in their own land.
Okay, sir, that we have seen the scenario that has been ongoing since the first day of the Syrian problem, or the Syrian dilemma, up until today, until Bashar al-Assad stepped down. So how far do you think the Syrian situation can reach?
This Syria situation is very important. Developments in Syria on the ground are very important for especially for Jordan and also for Egypt, because we have a lot of Syrians in Egypt, and also Egypt has a lot to do as far as situation in the Middle East process, and it has been a stabilizing factor in the situation in the Middle East, and that is why Jordan, when Jordanian monarch, when he is coming to Egypt to see how can we tackle and face the situation, and also what needs to be done not only by two countries but also other countries who are facing the limitations of what is happening. I see it as far as the United States and Europe, because both countries have to face it together, and in a common stand, this will be considered as a a common front and a strong front in face of this aggression. We need to stabilize the situation, and also situation in Syria is very important because Syria is an important country in the Middle East, and what is happening there will have its ramifications on Jordan, on Iraq, on Lebanon, and other countries. So we need to have a common stand and common action and create a front to face the aggression which is happening in Syria now.
Sir, the historic ties that bind Egypt, our Jordan, are very deeply rooted, and because of that, the summit talks which took place yesterday tackled a number of other issues of mutual concern, and high on the agenda was boosting trade, investment, and economic relations. If you want to give us a brief idea about the history of economic investment and trade ties between Egypt and Jordan.
Bilateral relations are very important as far as two countries are concerned, whether for Jordan and for Egypt. There are many development projects and investments in question, and that is why they need to consider what is the best way to create a favorable environment for investment in the two countries. Jordan needs resources, Egypt needs investments, and so the two countries need to sit together to see how can it be done and with whom they will have an influence. Egypt has very good standing as far as the situation in Egypt, in the Middle East is concerned, and many Western and Eastern and inter-Asian countries are coming to Egypt to consider investing in Egypt, and that is why Jordan might be beneficiary of this kind of cooperation with Egypt in investing in the resources, the vast resources which Egypt has and which need to be developed, and Jordanians can have a role to play in this respect. Also, Egyptian companies need to increase their presence in the Jordanian market because the Jordan does not have all the resources, but Egypt has many resources which can be properly used for the benefit of the Egyptian economy and the Jordanian economy.
Okay, so aside from the trade file, what other or some of the most important joint files that has been discussed between the two leaders?
When we speak about investment, stability, environment, and peace in the Middle East, these are main issues. We have many details in this respect. When the two countries are having a common front and say it loudly, clearly and loudly to other countries, they reconsider their position and what they are doing. And also it is a call for peace and investment to Arabic. It is a call for peace and investment when the Chinese and Russian and European investors are looking to the two countries because the vast resources which we have and the big population which we have in Egypt is a very good attraction point for the other countries to come to Egypt and to invest in the Egyptian economy and the Egyptian market, which is a big market, not only for Egypt but also for African countries. That is why it is very important to have consultation with Jordan to have a common stand and what to do together.
And sir, if you permit me to add to what you have just said, both President Sisi and Jordan's King Abdullah II, they agreed all the time, not only in this round of talks by the way, but all the time, they agreed upon the importance of having the joint Arab action and to have a unified word regarding a number of issues, not only of mutual concern, of the Arab national security concern, the Arab economic concern, the Arab states' security, stability, because simply the national security of the Arab region is part and parcel of the national security of each of the Arab states, if you agree with me on that.
For sure. The consultations and the common ground which the two heads of states are creating are very important for the Arab cause as a whole and for all the Arab countries as a whole. Because what we have seen, we have the Arab Common Market, Arab Common Economic Unity Council, and so and Egypt is charter member and Jordan is charter member of this council and this market. And so there is a lot in the economic field which can be done by the two countries, and they are influential and quite active in this respect. That is why when the monarch of Jordan comes to the heads of states of Egypt, the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, they need to consult and to agree on what can be done, because agreement between the two countries creates a very important aspect in relations between the two countries, and also it will be a code for other Arab countries to come and cooperate with them in creating peace and stability in the peace in the Middle East as a whole, not only in the borders with Gaza.
And to
the
continue
borders
with
Jordan.
fruitful cooperation for the best interest of all our Arab states, for all our peoples. Well, Ambassador Ayoub, Mahmoud Ayoub, thank you very much for your input, sir. Have a very good day. Right after the short break, we are going to return back with more.
The prophecy in ancient Egypt had interfered in the job opportunities and fields. For some of the texts point to the writers who used to perform revelation activities. In the ancient Egyptian thoughts, there was a strong belief that there were happy days and jinx days, which they tried to avoid, and avoid doing any work in them.